Welcome back to the show. The Bahamas Reef Environmental Education Foundation, better known as BREEF, is here with us this morning, and we're going to be talking shark research. A warm Bahamas at Sunrise welcome to Mark Bond, who's the Chief Scientist of Stony Brook University, Marcia Musgrove, who's the Outreach Manager for BREEF, and Christina Roberts, who's an intern with BESS. Welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so the first thing is shark research. Why are we concerned about sharks and shark research here in the Bahamas?
Well, in the Bahamas, we are an archipelago, and our country is basically 95% water, only about 5% land mass. And so our marine environment is very important to our culture, to our economy, to livelihoods in the country. And sharks play a pivotal role in keeping marine ecosystems healthy and in balance. And so in 2011, the Bahamas National Trust, along with the Pew Environment Group, led a campaign to have sharks protected in our waters, and we are kind of following up on that with additional research to determine what further areas we need to be concerned about, this sort of stuff, and also to share with the Bahamian public why this particular issue is important to us and how it connects to, like I said, our economic well-being in the country.
Okay, so Mark, you're here as a student, and you described the shark population in the Bahamas as pristine.
Yes,
what does that
please.
mean to you as a scientist?
So basically, pristine means it's a very, very healthy population. So compared to other areas in the world where sharks are doing particularly badly, so their populations are very low in numbers and they don't have a lot of species diversity. The Bahamas, however, is doing very well. You have great numbers of species of sharks and great numbers of those populations.
What do you attribute that to?
So Bahamas put in a long-lining ban, and long-lining is basically a massive line that stretches out at sea with a lot of baited hooks on it, and that is the primary method of catching sharks, and obviously once they're caught, they're killed. And so with that long-lining ban and the now shark sanctuary that Marcia was talking about, that means that the populations can stay relatively healthy.
Okay, so tell me about the research and how schools and students are getting involved.
Well, Mark will share a bit more about the details of the research, but we've engaged students through two means. We have the BESS program that Christina is in, and so we were able to get two of our interns in that program to spend some time on board the research vessel working with the shark research scientists, and that was a great experience for them. On Tuesday, we also had an entire shark education day at Stewart Cove, and the guests there were the Magnet Marine Science students in grade 10 and 11 at C.V. Bethel Senior High School. So they heard from the scientists, got a chance to learn more about sharks and why they're important to our ecosystems, and also to jump in the water and see some sharks up close.
Wow, awesome, all right.
Yeah,
So tell me about that experience.
It was mind-blowing. So being a part of the BEST program, Bahamas Environmental Steward Scholars Program, this opportunity got afforded to me and the other BEST scholar, and we got to work on board the vessel with different scientists. We got to we were studying oceanic white tips, tagging them and tracking them where they go when they go outside of our economic zone in the Bahamas. And we got to catch the sharks, bait them out, catch them, pull them up to the boat, and measure them, get ultrasound information and draw blood and all of that cool stuff. And I got
Sounds
to
like
swim with
scary
them.
stuff.
Actually, no, it's not scary. The more you learn about a species, the less you kind of fear it. It's good to have a healthy fear for sharks, obviously, but they're not man-eating creatures. They're not going up. It's not like they swim up to land to just try to grab, humans. Like in the Bahamas, there's no reports of anyone getting eaten from a shark. So, it's good to have a healthy fear for these species, but it's also good to try to squelch it so you can learn more about them.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mark, what's the objective of the research? What are you trying to find out?
So this current expedition, which has been funded by the More Charitable Foundation, we're aiming to focus on 3 species. So we're looking at oceanic white tips, which Christina just mentioned, and that work was primarily at Cat Island. We're now also moving on to Andros, where we're going to be looking at the sawfish, which is basically, it looks like a shark that has a chainsaw glued to the front of its face.
I know it, yes.
And then also lastly, we're looking at the Great Hammerhead. So we're moving through, we've been at Cat Island, we're moving on to Andros, the Berry Islands and Grand Bahamas, and we're looking to gather kind of crucial habitat data to look where the nurseries are, so where the juveniles of these species are moving around to try and protect those. And then we're also putting on electronic tags that will help us find out where these sharks are moving, or these species are moving. Because the idea of the whole concept of the project is to find out, are these species moving inside and outside of these protective barriers of the Bahamas? Because if they are, then obviously we need to try and work with other countries to protect them there.
Sounds like very, very valuable information. I'm curious, where are the hammerheads?
So the hammerheads are throughout the Bahamas. Islands like Bimini have been shown to have a good population, and we're hoping we're going to find quite a few around Andros and the Berry Islands.
Okay, sounds good. Well, anything else you want to add with respect to the studies?
Yes, well, one of the other things the study is going to give us information about is where nursery habitats are for sharks, where they're breeding, and we're finding those areas, and that all of this research really helps to inform the decisions that we make in the country, as well as things like fisheries laws, legislation. And so one of the things we want to put forward as an organization, brief, is that whatever decisions we make for our country, whether it's marine and environment related or otherwise, we want to make sure that we're using sound research data so that we can make informed decisions. And that's very important. We want to encourage people to obey our fisheries regulations that are in place. So now the legislation that came to pass in 2011 says that it's illegal to possess, to capture, to sell sharks, shark parts, or shark products in the Bahamas, and that includes import and export. Shark populations are being decimated around the world because of the trade for shark fin soup that's predominantly, happening in Asian markets. We recognize the link between sharks and a healthy marine environment, and we want to make sure that we safeguard our resources, because 60% of the tourists exiting the country say that they come here because of our marine environment. And studies also show that shark-related tourism brings an estimated $78 to $80 million a year into our economy. So we want to make sure that when we protect our sharks, we're also protecting our livelihoods.
Wow, well said, Marcia. I'm all in favor of the data informing the decisions.
Yes.
So hats off to Bree for making this happen. Mark, you and your team, all the best to you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.